Cine-MANIAC with another 10-ish minute review. Just cranking these out. Content is king. Anyway, so after watching Gael, which is, I'll call it an old film, even though it's 1990, it seemed a lot older than that. I decided to look at a contemporary film that was recommended by a lot of you, and that movie is Hi Nanna, which is a Telugu film that came out in 2023. When I didn't know anything about it, it looked like a rom-com to me based on the trailer, but it's not. It was written and directed by Shouryuv. I hope I'm saying that right. Shouryuv, one word. It stars Nani, or to be more accurate, natural star Nani. I would like to know exactly what that means, because I saw that in the credit and I really didn't understand it. Now, I've seen him in Jersey and one of my favorite films, Eega. So will someone tell me what natural star is and why does he have that? Is it because he's a naturalistic actor? I don't know. Also in it, Mrunal Thakar. I'm hoping I'm getting the first name right. She was in Jersey and Sita Raman in Adorable. Adorable. What a great smile. Jayaram, Nassar, and Kiara Khanna, who played the daughter in this film, who I absolutely loved. Also, and I'm curious about this too, in IDMB, Shruti Hassan, who is the daughter of Kamal Hassan, who I saw in Vikram, who played a model in one of the photo shoots, got first billing in IDMB. I don't know who this person is. I don't think I've ever seen her. Is she a big star? I don't know. But anyway, so let's talk about this film. First of all, I love when I am surprised by a film. And this one surprised me. The story. The story is about a young father with an 8-year-old daughter who he's a single parent. He lost his wife, and you don't know why in the beginning. Oh, you know what? I might as well say this. I was going to do two sections, a non-spoiler and spoiler. I don't think that's going to work with this one. So this is a spoiler-filled review. So if you haven't seen this movie, you don't want to watch this because there are some great surprises in this film that I would hate to be the one to give it away before you've seen it. So if you haven't seen it, shut it off, pause it, watch it, then come back and watch the review. Okay. Spoiler-filled review. So, so the girl, his daughter, has sickle cell, cystic fibrosis, excuse me. Cystic, she calls it 65 or 65 roses, she calls it. And you don't really know what happened to the mother of Mahi. Her name was Varsha, I think. I think it was Varsha. And he, so basically, he ends up telling, there's something secretive about what happened to the wife. You don't know what it is. You assume she died somehow. Finally, he says he'll tell her if she finishes number one in her class. She finishes in her class by 2%, she says, 2%. But he won't tell her. So obviously there's something dark here that you haven't figured out. The daughter kind of runs away with their dog, Pluto. And as now he's frantic, he can't find her. She ends up, the dog runs away, and a woman, again, her name is Yashna, stops the dog, helps her out. And there's a great scene where she calls the father. The father comes to VJ. Oh, no, sorry, Viraj. Viraj. I'm getting, last movie, there was a VJ. Viraj comes to this coffee shop where they're sitting there. And the reason why she ran away, because the father wouldn't tell the story about the mother. And the woman who found Mahi convinces him to tell the story. Now they flash back to the story of Varsha, his wife, and her mother. And because the daughter's never seen the mother, she can't picture her. So Yashna says, look at me, and just imagine me as your mother. So now when they flash back and tell the story of their relationship, Yashna is Varshna. Okay. You with me so far? So they play that out. And let me see here. I took some notes. So the first song is a montage. There is one song, and there's a lot of songs, but the first song is about the family relationship. So you see and by the way, the girl who played Mahi, Kiara Khanna, I loved her in this film. She wasn't like one of these precocious, an 8-year-old with the mind of a 20-year-old. You believed this relationship. She was wonderful in this film. I loved her, and I loved their relationship. So that's the first song. Now they do the flashback, and they do the flashback because he reads the stories. Starts off once upon a time. Now they go back and tell the story of how he met the mother. So the second song is about the first meeting with Varsha, where basically he stalks her. Ralph would love this film because he's a stalker. He's taking pictures. He's a photographer. He's actually in love with her. He falls in love with her, and he's just taking picture of her. So that relationship, and I'm going to whip through this because I'm not going to tell the whole story because you guys don't like that. But you realize that she's rich, and the mother wants nothing to do with this guy because he's poor. And there's a scene in a restaurant where the mother, who is the villain in this movie, sets him up to pay for this giant dinner bill. And she assumes he can't pay for it. And he leaves for a minute. And the daughter and her are talking, and he's like, he's not coming back. Well, then he comes back because he paid the bill. And then they get married. And then they have a beautiful, now it flashes forward to their 3-year anniversary where she is singing a song, because she's a wannabe singer, about their 3-year anniversary. Now they start talking about having a baby. She doesn't want a baby. She told him that from the beginning. And they get in a big fight. And then they both regretted the fight. And she says, yes, we'll have a baby. And our life will be better. And she says, promise. And he says, promise. And that's a big theme in this film, making promises. So now they do another song where it's about the pregnancy, and they go through that. Now the baby gets delivered, and that's when they realize they're told the baby won't survive very long because it has cystic fibrosis, it had bad lungs. And that's those scenes in the hospital where she is like almost comatose because she's being told the baby's not going to survive. It just really heartbreaking. I don't know how to describe it any other way. It was just hard, and they played it great. He's trying to console her. She doesn't want to be consoled. She's angry at him. And that leads up to this scene that was just, ugh. They leave the hospital, and they're talking, and she's saying she wants to leave because he made promises to her, and it's not working out, and he's trying to find a way to turn this around. Now, the child is still alive. Then it slows down, and they get in this car accident where she goes through the windshield. And that scene, ugh, it was awful. And then they show her lying on the ground, in a puddle of blood, and he's crawling out of the car, and he just kind of passes out too. And that's where the story ends there. Well, now they want to, Yashna wants to find out more because he's stopped. And that's when you find out the wife didn't die, the mother didn't die, but she had an accident that gave her amnesia. She doesn't remember him, she doesn't remember the daughter. Completely mind wiped. But that's also when you find out because he goes to his computer laptop, opens it up, and there's a screensaver. And you realize that Varsha and Yashna are the same person. So she's actually the mother. And that didn't see that coming, had no idea. And that was a wonderful surprise. So I loved that. Now it's how now the rest of the movie is, are they going to end up together? Because she's about to be married. Now she admits she had an accident. Now he made the decision. The best thing for her was to completely stay away from her, including with the child. Um, so that's why he never went after her. But now that he's back, she's back in his life, and Mahi really cares about her. And there's a bunch of scenes that show how that develops. So I won't get into that. Um, and then a couple things like in the flashback, Varshna had a brother. Well, the reality is it was a sister. She comes into it. Then there's another number where they all go to Goa, and there's this big musical number in a bar that was very different from everything else. You know, Telugu films and Malayalam films I find to be a little more grounded than like Hindi and Tamil. And the one scene I thought they kind of forgot that, no, for I don't know what the word is, was the bar scene where they did this musical number because he was drinking, she was drinking. I like the number, but it was kind of weird. It did kind of fit with the rest of the movie. But anyway, that's the fifth one. So now I'm not. I didn't want to tell. I loved this movie. I loved this movie, and the ending was. I was crying. Okay, so that's like the fifth Indian movie. I'm crying at the end, and not in a bad way. So so the daughter Mahi ends up in the hospital, and they're telling she's supposed to have a lung transplant, but the doctor said if you have a lung transplant, 1% chance of surviving, and no one will take the risk. So he's in the hospital with her, and this is the scene where she's about to be married to this other guy while this is going on. And there was a guy you assumed was Viraj's father living with him and Mahi. You know, like he's the grandfather. Well, he is the grandfather, but you find out he's not Viraj's father. He's Varsha's father. Again, completely out of left field because she talks about the father a lot, but you never see him. And he goes to the wedding and tries to get her to stop. He loves you. Do you care about the daughter? It's a wonderful scene. And the fiance, who earlier his brother beat up Viraj, is sympathetic to her because he knows about the ex. He knows the whole story because the mother told him. So he says, go to him. Okay. And this is the scene where, okay, so there's two twists right there you just don't see coming. All right. Which I loved. Then at the hospital, the fiance, first of all, Varsha, I'm screwing up these names, right? No, Varsha. Yeah, Varsha shows up, and there's a great scene where Mahi's on the bed with the oxygen, and she's just over her crying, you know. And then the fiance, who happens to be a doctor, and the whole wedding party comes walking in the hospital in scrubs. Each one of them was a specialist. Now, this is the only thing I was like, okay, that's like a coincidence of the decade. But they're the specialists who can do this surgery. So he's going to help them. And then there's a scene where Varsha and Viraj are against the wall, and she says, I wish we fell in love. I wish we got married. I wish Mahi was my daughter. Then they show the wheeling into the surgery, and Mahi says, Varsha's, not Varsha because she doesn't know she's Varsha. Yashna says to her, do you want me to stay? And she's like, with the little eyes open, she nods. Do you want us to be together? Nods. And then they did this thing. Now, earlier they showed, at the beginning of the film, they showed a young girl singing on stage. That's it. They show her, you have no idea what it is. You have no idea what the reference is. Now they do this scene that was wonderful. They show the, I don't know if I can't remember if it was the waiting room or the operating room, a doctor in scrubs. Now he goes through two doors. He walks in, goes to the left. Now you're on the stage with that girl singing. And she starts singing this song. Beautiful song. And it ends. That's how it ends. So you have to assume she survived because everyone told Viraj that she wouldn't survive the original birth. She wouldn't live till 3. She lived till 8, which is a miracle. And the lung transplant's probably going to kill her. And every time he's right there, no, he's going to do what he needs to do. He doesn't believe that. Well, the inference is this is Mahi as a young adult auditioning for something on stage, singing away. And that's how it ends. So, I mean, I would have loved to have seen, like, did they, she survive? Are they all together? Are Viraj and and Varshna slash Yashna together? And maybe it's better to leave it ambiguous. So I love this story. I'm gonna give people are gonna say, well, it was contrived. It was there were convenient plot points, but they went back to, like, uh as I'm watching the film, I'm wondering, well, how did she just happen to run into her mother? Well, they explain it. And when he went into that coffee shop, they flash back and they show that he knew it was her before he went in. You didn't know that in the original scene. So things added up. But I didn't care. I loved it. I'll give it a 5 because it surprised me. It had me like I wasn't bawling my eyes up, but I had tears in my eyes, okay? At the end of the film, I was like, "Oh my God, it was just such a wonderful, different movie from some of the ones I've been watching." I just loved it. Um, so the acting, look, Nani, he was great in this. You believe the relationship. He's a very naturalistic actor. Other than that one song where, again, he was supposed to play drunk, fine, whatever. But the rest of the movie, he was wonderful. Mrunal Thakar, I know I've seen her before. I got to be honest with you, I don't remember her. This one, she just, I don't know. Like when she thought she was Yashna, she was just more contemporary, full of life. And then when she was Varsna, she was kind of guarded. But she was beautiful. She had this beautiful smile and high. She was just beautiful. And the scenes where she was with the girl, trying to be friends with the girl, and then when during the hospital scene, it was just heartbreaking, and she played it. She was great. I thought the cast was really good. I'll give it. I'll give the acting a 4. Not everyone was great, but the leads were. The music didn't bother me other than that one song. It seemed to be appropriate with what they were trying to accomplish. It was usually any musical number was usually a flashback or a montage. It wasn't like this big musical number like you see in a lot of the Hindi films, except for the bar scene in Goa, which is fine. That didn't bug me. So the music I give a 3 because you know me, the music was okay. It fit this though. It wasn't like abrupt. It wasn't like what the heck was that. So I like the music. And then overall I'm gonna give it a 5. I just love this movie. Um, Again, it was surprising. It was heartwarming. It was it gave me that feeling at the end of the film, like Stars on Earth or Three Idiots. I had that same kind of feeling where it's like, it got a little hairy, but then it works out. Like when the doctors all came in, we're gonna save her. Even that scene that I thought was contrived, you kind of got to chill, So I loved it. So thank you for those of you that recommended it. I don't know how this did at the box office, but just a wonderful film. Very surprising. And again, I tell you this. I tell people who don't normally watch Indian films, there are certain films I say to watch and let me know what you think after you watch it. This is one that I'm going to tell people to watch and call me afterwards because I know they're going to all call me bawling their eyes out. Okay. So the next film I'm going to do, look, I've been doing a lot of recommendations because I care about my audience. But I'm gonna pick one for me. You guys probably I think I've talked about this on the Big Show, definitely. But I'm a big superhero genre fan, and there's not a lot of superhero movies in Indian films, but there is one that I've wanted to watch that hasn't been available, and it stars one of my favorite actors, Hrithik Roshan, and the movie is Krish, Krish. And I think there's been 3 of them. I'm going to watch it. It is available. I don't know what you guys think about that film. You're going to tell me it's garbage. Who made that recommendation? Who picked that? I picked it. Okay. This one I picked because I like the superhero genre. I want to see what you guys do with it. Okay. So, and if you're mad at me about that, don't subscribe. Don't hit the notification button. Don't hit the share button. Okay. But if you like the pick, just do the opposite. Subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like, smash the like button, and share it. All right. That's my review. Hi, Nana. Loved it. Feel good movie. So that's it. Okay. We'll see you next time with another 10ish minute.